Welcome to Hameen Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, we are talking about Season 2's The Man Behind the Glass. No, we're not. We're here to talk about Andor, the season finale of Andor. Andor is over.
Oh my God.
My heart is broken. No, we're not here to talk about Andor.
I mean, unless you guys want us to.
It's a good show. It's a good show. This is written by Bob Engel. This is his second episode following Season 1's The One-Armed Man. It's directed by Linka Glatter. This is her second episode. We had seen her direct Cooper's Dreams in Season 1. It premiered on October 13th, 1990. I usually use TV Tango to figure out, like, what's it up against? And for whatever reason, like, the TV Tango listings for this date are messed up. So I don't know what was on CBS. It's just blank. So maybe it was a baseball game or whatever they do. I don't know what they do in October. The other channel, NBC, was Carol and Company and American Dreamer. So this was on at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, and it came in third. I'm assuming it comes in third. Whatever the mysterious CBS show is.
Dead air on CBS. They were showing nothing but a test pattern, and still we came in third. But that's all right.
But that's okay. So then we're going to jump into this episode. I don't have anything to say up front, so...
No, let's just dive in.
Why did you send me that letter?
Well, Laura wanted me to get in touch with you if anything ever happened to her.
Why?
She said you'd ask a lot of questions.
How long did you know Laura?
Ever since she began Meals on Wheels. I was her best customer.
You don't seem much like a shut-in.
You mean politely, what's the matter with me?
Okay.
I don't like to go outside. Can't.
Okay, so we open up. The killer tries to remove Ronette off the board, while Cooper fills Harry and Albert in on his vision of the giant.
We're in a frantic scene in the hospital. We got a nice shot starting at Ronette's empty-seeming gurney, and she comes back into the frame. She's still thrashing, having this reaction to it, having remembered the trauma of seeing Bob and the murder. But the camera does an interesting move that I don't really recall happening in previous episodes, but it's just this one steady shot in a complete sweep around the room, starting at her gurney, around the hospital. You see more doctors coming in, more nurses coming in. It swings around to the entrance, and we have Harry and Cooper and Albert come on in. So it gets this I don't know, this to me is this weird tension of the craziness that's happening that we saw Ronette last time with just this hospital setting of people trying to take care of the emergency. I think right away we have Albert looking at the IV bag, and he makes a comment that it looks like it was dye, so he's already suspicious. I love that we get Albert already. Like, we have Cooper, we know, is this incredibly observant, intuitive, but also logical problem solver, Sherlock Holmes kind of guy. Albert is kind of right at his level. He notices something right off the bat. He knows he needs to look into that. I really like that we have these two incredible detectives at the top of their game here. It's a shocking scene to see Cooper have to pull the letter out from underneath Ronette's finger. It looks like they spray her finger. I'm guessing it's some sort of like topical Novocaine sort of numbing analgesic.
It doesn't
of
seem
some
like
sort,
the numbing
but
works.
it didn't seem to work. It did not seem to work. Maybe it's just like an antiseptic.
I think it's an antibiotic of some kind, antiseptic.
Boy, was that rough to see. Again, it's always a tough thing to see that extraction of the letter, but we got a big old bee, and I love that we get that shot of the bee superimposed over her screaming mouth in the dissolve there. I think it's a beautiful shot as well. So right from the beginning, we got beautiful cinematography and great choices in this scene.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Leslie Linka Glatter, as I mentioned when we did Cooper's Dreams. I think she's a great director. You talked about the shot. It's on that empty bed, but there's all this action and chaos coming from off screen that gets pulled into the screen, and then you just sort of slowly pan over and you see everyone doing stuff. Like even Harry is trying to, he resets like the heart monitor or whatever. He's doing something, and it's just, it has you immediately start this episode in a heightened sense of distress that's accompanied by her being forcibly put back into the bed, so you're just completely on edge. You mentioned the thing with the dye, and it's like, yes, that we're back into the serial killer world. I love Cooper's peculiarities.
Peculiarities.
Like being
Peculiarities.
Cooper's strangeness
Albert
helps bring Harry and Albert together, which I love. Cooper's like, let's stand together for a moment. So you have like Cooper talking about the giant, and he's talking about the mystery things and without chemical supports, and Albert's right there to ground it all in comedy. Any relation to the dwarf when he talks about the giant. And
great line.
Cooper, by being the wonderful, strange, weird oddball that he is bringing them together, which I just love the dynamic that's on display here.
Exactly. You get Harry even giving like a slight look at Albert, like side eye. Like it's really, it's a great moment. You're totally right.
Yeah, they're having a common thing that now is going to bring these two together, and where we see their relationship go is something I've always loved about this show. All right, so now we're going to jump over. Donna's going to pay Harold Smith a visit. So we knew Harold Smith was looking out the window, peeping while you're sleeping, and now we're actually going to get a chance to see him. So what's your take on Harold Smith?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we know that we've discussed so far is what we know from the diary, which is I'm so glad to have read that and now meet Harold, given what we read in the diary as well. Very cool. Now I get to see him on screen. Like I said, I've seen this show. I had no recollection of this actor. In my head, I'm picturing an older man. I just had no recollection until I saw him. And then I was like, oh, right, because he has a distinct look. He's got like a very hipster kind of vibe to him. I think what he's wearing is back in style again. Like he could absolutely be in Bushwick right now.
Yeah, Lenny Von Dolan. He's a fantastic actor. He was in Tender Mercies, Electric Dreams. He passed away in 2022. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great actor.
But starting with the scene, it's great to see. He's so interesting because he is agoraphobic. He doesn't leave his apartment. He doesn't seem to have a whole lot of like social interaction. I think maybe Laura might have been, the one mainstay. But he's so charming and polite. Not that those things are mutually exclusive by any means, but he's just so charming and so polite to Donna, bringing her in. I love that he's constructed this world for himself. He was a horticulturalist, so he's got a hothouse basically for an apartment and all the beautiful orchids around him, growing all the different hybrids and things like that. It was just very cool, but it just, again, it was not at all what I had pictured in my head. I think that's probably true for Donna as well. She would assume, after maybe a couple other rounds of Mrs. Tremont, et cetera, that it might have been older people or people with physical different abilities to be able to, need that service. So I think she was a little bit curious as well. I love how he kind of not deflects the question, but diffuses it when she's asking, like, basically, like, why do you need Meals on Wheels? And he's like very polite about that. So he's both very direct in answering her questions, but, charming about it as well. Just interesting. I think it was great. You had mentioned before that he's like one of your favorite characters.
Well, the actor's fantastic. I love the it's a character I think I can relate to and not wanting to go outside. He's such an interesting person. First off, just to talk a bit about the character. So when they were doing season 1, Mark Frost and David Lynch were, open to some new ideas for potential season 2 from the other writers. So being Harley Peyton and Bob Engels. And apparently Harley Peyton had in his home library these diaries of Arthur Crew Inman. I don't know if you know. So this is a guy, I believe he's English, that wrote 155 diaries. So he would basically pay people to come to his house and tell him stories, and then he would write them in the diary. So he's sort of loosely based on this character, at least as a point of inspiration. Apparently the guy's like a horrible racist. Harold Smith is not a horrible racist. That is not why I like Harold Smith as a character.
One of many reasons do you love Harold Smith. He's a horrible
but
racist.
it was kind of something taken from reality and brought into this thing. But like the way the way Lenny Von Dolan portrays this character who's suffering from agoraphobia, his mannerisms and how proper he is, but he does a really good job of being completely uncomfortable. The way that he talks about, do you want to wash your hands? Like you can sense that there's some OCD behavioral stuff. Do you want some saltines with apple butter? Sort of a strange combination. Maybe that's fantastic, but he's like not used to people, and but he's approaching it in the way of politeness. Something happened to him, right? Because he was a horticulturalist. I used to be. Clearly something happened in his life, or there was a change or a crisis or something that put him here. I don't find him creepy at all. And you could play this character as someone being creepy because he's peeking out the window at her and he's commenting on what she wore. It's different than the outfit you wore yesterday. So there is like a voyeuristic tendency to his behavior and how he's acting, but it doesn't come across that way. He comes across as a very gentle, sensitive soul that is one of innocence. And granted, we've read the diary, so we've already been primed to that sort of behavior. The symbolism of him raising orchids too, like this beautiful, very delicate flower that has to be grown in a highly controlled environment is perfect. Like, of course he would have it. But there's also like a sense of beauty to the flower and mystery and sex, and all of that stuff is sort of mixed up with Laura. I love this whole scene so much. And again, like he mentions, like Laura's always creating these mysteries, and she likes mysteries and she likes secrets, and it's all about Laura's secrets. And he's like, why didn't Laura ever mention you to me before? And it's also like, Donna, haven't you realized now there's a whole world of Laura that she's not telling you? Harold is only one of them, but that he says sort of she liked mysteries. It was sort of her idea to keep him a secret. It's a really nice moment for Donna because she can hear, and I think she needs to hear in this moment how much Laura talked about her and how much she meant to Laura. And I feel like in this moment, with all the stuff that's going on, it's going to build up and explode at the end of the episode. She needs sort of that piece. And then again, we're saying he's so nice, he's so innocent, but there's clearly something under his bookcase. Like there's that piece of paper sticking out. It's a mystery. It's a potential. What is this? We know, but Donna doesn't know that he has the diary too. So like there's all these sort of cool things. Last thing I'll say about this, I love the writing. Bob Engels, who wrote this script, like when she's like, I'll be back, and he says, I'll be here, because of course he's going to be here.
Line.
He can't leave, but it was just really well done.
No, those are really good points. I mean, he does have that, you pointed out, he says, you want to wash your hands. And another person might say, be more insistent about it. He obviously wants her to say yes, but he's not going to push the matter a little bit. But I love that Donna's in full detective mode now. And he says, Laura said that you'd ask a lot of questions. So he keeps dropping these things that he's learned from Laura about Donna over time. And Donna's just like every one of them right away. But I do love that she's in, the Nancy Drew detective mode as we get into this.
All right, so we're going to jump back to the station. Cooper is going to break down everything we know about Bob, the letters, who's seen him, and how to find him. And we learn a bit more about Albert.
Yeah, so we got a whiteboard, so we know that we're in good hands here. We got Teresa's got a T, Laura's got an R, Ronette's got the B. We talk about all the different people that have seen Bob, to which Albert's just like rolling his eyes so hard they might fall out of his head, which is great. There's the one line, he says that he's seen the giant, and Albert says, you gave him the beans you were supposed to use to buy a cow, and Cooper just smiles and is like, no, I gave him my ring, very earnestly. It's great. It's just the like I said, like the relationship between the two of them is becoming clearer and less adversarial, I think. It was getting really bad towards the end of the previous season, even the beginning of this one. I think they feel more of an ease with each other. And I think because they're both on a case right now and both really active in doing their thing, the thing that they do so well. We find out that the letters are perfect matches from the lettering in Flesh World. And this one, there's the issue on the table. It's a issue to swingers that are standard poodle enthusiasts. What a weird thing to throw out there. I think it's fantastic. That's just crazy detail. But yeah, before we get into, Albert's brief monologue that he has with Harry, anything else you want to set up from the scene that we've learned?
Well, there's so much to love here. But the Harry adjusting the chalkboard by tightening the wheel, I'm not sure what that is about. That's how the scene starts. So the scene starts, Harry's on the ground. He's like adjusting the wheel. I don't know if I'm just missing something, but it's a very strange opening before it comes up. The RBT as well. So it's not even in the order that it arrived, but it's clearly like Robert. Like, yes. Even my son, I had mentioned my son, who's named Cooper, surprisingly. I had told him, like, oh, whose name would be RBT? He was like, Robert, like 2 seconds. Like, I had no problem. And it's funny that they put it in there. Like, I don't know if they put it in there to, like, they're going to tell us in this episode. Right. So it was just like clearly like Robert, but they can't figure it out. They're having Lucy go through the thing, but that's whatever. It's fine. We sort of revisit the Giant's message. 3 have seen him, but not his body. And Harry is genuinely interested. And they're going back and forth. And then I love this gag, and Arrested Development does it all the time, where they just cut over and Albert's been sitting there the entire time that they're having this conversation and just throws out the beans line.
That's great. Yep. It's
just a funny gag because they're in the middle of this conversation talking about the Giant, and there's Albert just sitting at his table with his legs up. I love it. Cocaine. I didn't know you could match cocaine, but I guess maybe with how you cut the cocaine, that you could, it has its own fingerprint. It shows my lack of knowledge, I guess, in cocaine. Well,
we're learning a lot. So whenever we finally get around to distributing cocaine,
I mentioned the Circle brand boots before. That's the brand, and it comes up again. So you might want to write that down in your diary. It's of course James Bond's gun, which is a Walther PPK that Albert throws out there. It's sort of
he was so excited about that.
Very
fact
excited,
too.
And I feel like there's a lot of like spy stuff that we saw too on the when Cooper's in One-Eye Jackson. There's a lot of that stuff going on. It's hard for me, like you're talking about Albert and like their contentious relationship before. I feel like I know like where things go. So like obviously my Albert was always colored by this Albert.
Yes.
So I've been trying to talk about it in a way. I feel like I've been sort of pushing it like, oh, they have a history and they have and even more so when you get to Fire Walk with Me. But it's good to see now we can sort of talk about Albert in the way that I want to, because once you have this line.
The last time I knocked you down, I felt bad about it. The next time is going to be a real pleasure.
You listen to me. While I will admit to a certain cynicism, the fact is that I'm a naysayer and hatchet man in the fight against violence. I pride myself in taking a punch, and I'll gladly take another because I choose to live my life in the company of Gandhi and King. My concerns are global. I reject absolutely revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. I love you, Sheriff Truman.
Albert's path is a strange and difficult one.
You can't not love him. And the relationship between Harry and Albert is now forever changed. Like we're never going back. all of the weird, quirky meanness of Albert has now been washed away and becomes his just personality. So you're entering this new dynamic between the three of them. What a great speech that is. I believe that is a Mark Frost wrote that particular part of it, even though this is a Bob Engel script about Gandhi and everything. So it's so good. It just works so well. And Cooper's delivery on Albert's path is a strange and difficult one, but it's like you can't not love this character. Like you love this character before because he's so funny. He's written so well, and he does such a fantastic job, Miguel, performing the role. Mm-hmm. And now that you get this that's like, okay, his entire modus operandi is based on love. It's like, okay, now you have full permission to just absolutely love this guy and put him on your wall and put a little picture of him and just write me and Albert forever. I mean, I know that's one of my favorite characters of all time, I would say, in TV, film, whatever. He's just so well put together and performed.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think what Albert says to Harry about admitting to being have a cynicism, but it's all coming from love. I think it's actually Cooper's response that we said Albert's path is a strange and difficult one. That's the one that actually sells me on Albert more than Albert saying it, because he admits to being cynical. So you could almost read this as being, I'm not saying I do, but you could read this as being maybe a ploy or being cynical. But Cooper is also giving it a stamp of this is who he is, and it's not easy being Albert. So I definitely, if you don't absolutely fall head over heels and want to put a poster on your wall, you definitely have a lot more understanding of who this character is. Now, do I want to see him give the same speech to Andy and give him a big old smacker on the forehead and smooth things over with Andy? Absolutely, but I'm glad that it at least starts with Harry here. And it's such a choice that, as an audience, I don't think you could ever see coming, because you just get used to this, like, one-liners, zingers, cutting people down. Not to be like, he's not being... I mean, he definitely, like, he is mean. He does say, like, one thing you could do while I'm gone is practice not dragging your knuckles on the ground. Like, he's not nice, but he's not, like, cutting people to the bone in a way that is, like, malicious. He's just kind of funny zingers. But then you see this side of it, and like I said, Cooper giving that the thumbs up, it just sells it. And you're like, yep, all right, on board with Albert. If you weren't already.
Yeah, life is hard, and if you want to approach it like Albert, God bless you. I can. It's a hard path, but he can walk it. All right, so we're going to go over to another part of the station where charges against James are dropped while Lucy's lunch date arrives. Poor James.
Poor James. Yeah, I mean, not much to say about him. I like that Cooper tells James, you got to stop trying to solve this on your own. You got to talk to somebody. Come talk to me. So again, Cooper, heart of gold, this guy, like, I mean, yeah, he is a Fed, so you go talk to him, you know what you're in for. But I think it's like a genuine person to person, just, you can talk to me.
So this scene in which James is talking to Cooper.
James, I don't want to see you down here again. Yes, sir. Stop trying to figure it all out yourself.
There's the same scene in Blue Velvet, only Kyle MacLachlan is in the role of the kid.
Who else knows you have these photos?
Just you in the photo lab?
And you're through with this business now?
Yes, sir, I am.
For now, all right, you better be.
So it's just like a little nice thing. But James saying, like, I was trying to tell you it was my cocaine. Like, he's all like nervous and just, it's just funny.
Sweet James. But yeah, then the meat of the rest of the scene is an introduction to a new character. So we get Dick. Love that he is, his first line to Lucy, hi, Lucy, there you are. He walked in, turned and looked in his reflection and spent a good 30 seconds adjusting himself before then turning and looking over. Like, it's great. The affectations, you get a sense of this character without him even saying a word immediately. Incredible performance, really well created character. It's terrific. And how put off Lucy is by this, we find out later why she's feeling this way. But like, she's got this lunch date. It feels like an obligation. It's great. The best part, though, is Hawk in this scene, where Lucy's there with a Scrabble set. which is a great way to do this, try to figure out as many words as she can come up with that have RB and T in them, and just the Hawk keeps cutting this guy down time after time with more of those words. It's terrific. Yeah, that's everything I have. Tell me.
Yeah,
what you thought of this.
the actor is Ian Buchanan, who I knew watching this from General Hospital because my sister used to watch General Hospital.
So once again, I find myself your prisoner.
Is that so bad?
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Seeing him come in a totally different performance from General Hospital to this, I always sort of like that guy anyway. I think he's just so funny. He was also on the show On the Air. He was went on to do that show, which hopefully we can do. When he comes in and he's sitting there fixing himself up, and there's like the picture of Bob, but then there's also this giant no smoking sign, and then of course he takes out the cigarette holder.
Yes.
Which, mentioned Hawk saying prohibited as he breaks it in half. But when they talk about going to lunch and he's just, let's go Dutch. It's just, it's fantastic. We'll talk about Lucy later, right? Because we're going to have a lunch date. So I don't want to get into the Lucy business right now. Okay. So Cooper tells more giant stories, Leland arrives with a new lead.
Yeah, Leland races to the sheriff's office to tell him that he knows Bob, that he has a recollection of him. So he tells him that there's a house when summer up in Pearl Lakes, that this was the guy's. I guess the neighbor across a vacant lot lived in a white house there. He used to flick matches at him, and he says the same thing that Laura had said to James. Do you want to play with fire, little boy? Flicking matches. It's a great scene. It's just like, it actually just gives me chills a little bit just thinking about it. The way that Leland says it, and Cooper's like a spark of recognition and realizing like, this is our guy. It's terrific. Pretty small scene, but really meaningful.
I love I love Leslie's camera work so much in the scene. So we get this really cool dolly shot where we're starting in the conference room and Cooper is telling his giant story in the back. And then it just pans over as they leave and we go through the wall. And then we come into the hallway when they're heading at us. On the back wall, it looks like there's all these posters, these recruitment posters for police stuff. I think one of them says like LA, like LA cops or something. It's like, tired of your old life, become a deputy. I think it says LA. It's hard to tell. Stupid thing. But all the Pearl Lake stuff, I keep talking about Pearl Lakes, and obviously Pearl Lakes is important. And we're going to talk about the White House. We'll get a little bit more details about the White House. I have a very dumb little thing to talk about with the White House that nobody will care about, but I'm looking forward to saying it. Robert's son, right? So son of Robert too, as well, and what's stuff that implications that stuff could have. It's just cool. I love the way he throws the matches. But this is where they figured out that it is Robert, which also Cooper, smartest cop in the business, RBT, and then it finally took this for him to figure it out. But it's good.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to jump over to the double R. Now we're going to have Lucy on her date. So she's going to tell Dick that she's pregnant. And Donna catches Maddie and James holding hands. A lot of stuff going on at the double R, Dan. Where's your mind at?
Well, let's start with the date. These two lovebirds. Oh, boy. Dick is he's something, man. He's, an obvious liar. Something's going on here, but I don't know what. Kind of a heel. He seems to be making promises that he can't keep, and he keeps kind of, avoiding the subject or changing things a little bit. It just, talking about his inventory system.
I simply had to develop a system to memorize customer orders using mnemonic triggers. For instance, someone looking for Argyle socks. Well, that would file under A for Argyle, subheading S for socks.
Poor Lucy is just. I love the performance of this guy, but this character, Dick, there's something up with Dick.
Right. It's just so convoluted and complicated and completely useless. It reminds me of like Greg Turkington on Cinema's filing system for videotapes. A couple of notes in the background, right? So we see the cheerleader sitting at the booth that we're going to see later when we get to the Great Northern. So we get a little bit of that going on. Strange military men also packed into a booth. So you always think about what Major Briggs is up to. And there's always like the diner patrons are always, there's always a treat usually in the background, some strange bit of business to look at.
You've mentioned that before, and I need to pay more attention to the background of that. In Great Northern, I'm definitely looking at what's going on. I mean, some things you can't miss, but I didn't actually catch the military men at the...
Yeah, they're just they're in one booth all the way in the back.
Terrific.
Right corner. But then the main thing is that the cheerleaders that are going to be at the convention that's at the Great Northern. That's it. So I really just want to talk about Maddie being superior to Donna in every way.
Let's get over to the booth. We got James and Maddie talking, and there's definitely something going on between them. Nothing has really happened yet, but that spark is there, catching each other's eyes, singing love songs at each other. But at this moment, it's just really James confiding in Maddie, and when she took his hand, it really, I think, at least consciously was innocent. I think there's something undercurrents there. But then, that moment of Donna coming in and seeing them is just perfect. Tell me all the ways that Maddie is better than...
When James starts unloading first he's unloading about Donna, and she's acting weird, and she just said she's acting like she thinks she's so cool, or he says something like that. I don't remember the exact quote. I know this is not the way the character is acting, but there's a look that Cheryl Lee does. She looks like once he starts rolling into his Jamesing and he starts really spiraling, as James is wont to do. Not a huge fan of James, particularly this is the downfall of me and James, this episode right here. She just looks like she's oh God, she almost just resigns herself to hear this guy just go on and on about himself. Anyway, then she grabs his hand, she's consoling him. There is something there, whether it starts off innocently enough. Now, clearly, that's the way it's supposed to be portrayed. She's just consoling him. Now Donna sees it. She sees something that's not there. But Maddie does make a move on James, who we'll get there. But that's all I have to say. Is that Maddie's the better of. If you had to pick between Maddie and Donna, Maddie's wonderful. I know you're a Donna fella.
Oh no, I like Donna a lot, but in this situation, it was coming in both directions. Donna saw something that actually was there, whether James and Maddie consciously recognized it or wanted to acknowledge it. Donna was right, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, they were eyeing each other, during the song. It's just you, there's clearly, and I feel there's also that thing where Maddie feels like she has to fill the role of Laura because everyone's looking at her like she's Laura, and now all of a sudden she's sort of acting like Laura in a way, and she feels like she's losing her own agency. So meanwhile, we're at One-Eye Jack's. Audrey is riding the white tiger down Nightmare Alley. Take me there.
Man, Blackie's revenge, man. It goes so deep. She's going to try to hook Audrey on heroin, just like Ben did to her. This scene is dark. We got Emery videoing her. So we got the TV monitor in the background so you can see what is recording as she is high as a kite, and Blackie's got more ready to go. It's just real dark. What a scene. I don't know. There's not a whole lot for me to say about this, except it just feels, again, pretty shocking to me that this is all in prime time on a major network in the 90s.
Yeah, I love so Blackie says she's waiting for her close-up before they do a shot, which is a reference to Sunset Boulevard, which we've talked about before. Gordon Cole's character from Sunset Boulevard. It's a movie I know David Lynch is a big fan of, as a lot of these writers and directors are all looking to noirish films. The shot composition is so awesome when Blackie goes in for her, just like her daddy did to me line, and she's standing next to the TV. So you get this shot of Blackie looking down and finally having her revenge. And you see Sherilyn Fenn, as Audrey, just framed in that television camera where you're seeing what they're shooting. It's so cool. Yeah. And a little bit of a transitional thing is we get the needle of heroin. So we have drugs that are being used in this situation, and then we switch over to, drugs that are going to happen in the next scene with Philip Gerard. So it's just sort of an interesting, we go from needles to needles in the Twin Peaks land. So
we'll take us over.
We're going to jump over to the sheriff's station. Philip Gerard is doing his best to sell shoes, but he's distracted by a familiar face, and he retreats to the little boy's room. Dan, what do you have to say about the shoe sale and shoe sale?
Well, I hope he is able to make the sale. If anything else, it's a great scene. You got you got him going through his patter and explaining the difference between the different shoes, and Harry's totally game. And but what I really appreciate about this episode overall, but this string of episodes is we're getting clues and we're getting payoff. There's no filler. We're really building story and getting right to things. Like the Giants' clues are like bing, bang, boom, already through them.
I like that when he's hard selling the shoes, he's like, and if the department does any parading, just like this is a funny thing, I think, to put out there. I do have a question about the shoe line. So like when Truman finds his shoe, he calls them Jim Dandies. And I'm just wondering, is that the line of shoe? Like, oh, these are the Jim Dandies? Or is he saying Jim Dandy? Like, these are good shoes?
I think it could be both, but I read it as the second, but sure.
You read it as Jim Dandy, these are good shoes.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're just the Jim Dandies. So you have like the Paraders, or you have the Explorers, and you have the Jim Dandies for... So I just want to talk a little bit about like he sees Bob and he has this freaking crazy reaction to it. It's not the first time he saw that picture. So in the One-Armed Man, they showed him the same exact drawing.
Right.
He's got no idea who this guy is. So he doesn't have any reaction at all. It's the same writer for both episodes, One-Armed Man and this one, Bob Engel. So it was just interesting that this time he really reacted to Bob and he knew Bob was near. But the other time he had no reaction to the drawing.
So, like, presumably, whatever the last dose of the medicine that he's on, medicine in quotes, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, the chemical that he was on is wearing off. So now it's breaking through. So that permeating between the boundaries between the personalities is kind of breaking down. It's really done so well.
Hello, it's Eric. Welcome to the midpoint. You didn't realize there'd be a midpoint, but here we are at the midpoint. I want to take a minute and thank some of the Black Lodge members that have joined us in the Red Room. Who are we thanking today? We're thanking Banjo Track. We're thanking Dawn Adamo. We're thanking Gregory Flanagan. And we are thanking Chuck Suffle. I may want all my Garmonbosia, but you will have my heart forever. How did they get here? How did they get a shout out like this? Because they have joined our Patreon, which is available right now, where you can get access to some secret podcasts like The Pink Room. We're going to have a movie club launching next month with Club Silencio. You just have to put a couple dollars down. If you do the $5 a month, you get your name read. It is free, too. You can also join for free, and you should be able to use the chat and to communicate with all the members, and you can ask us questions, and we'll do Ask Me Anythings and whatever you want. It's an open community that I'm figuring out as we go. So that's it. So if you want to go and you want to support the show, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile, and you should see a link for the Patreon there. All right, let's get back to the proper episode. So we jump over to another part of the station. Shelley's going to tell Cooper and Truman that she will not give a statement against her husband, and Philip Gerard becomes Mike.
I think that her performance in this moment is so good because it's very unlike Shelley to me, or maybe she's just in an unusual situation. You know, she's talking to or being interrogated by the sheriff and a FBI agent. But, she's looking down the whole time. She's, just giving the same responses. But when Cooper just realizes, okay, I know what's going on, and the way he just dismisses Shelley and the look of confusion on her face as he just shuffles her out the door is so good. He shuts the door in her face, and you can see as it's closing, she's just looking around at the door like, this is not how it was supposed to go. This is not what Bobby said was going to happen. It's just great. But Cooper knows right away, this is an insurance job. This is about the money. It's really good. So who is it? Now they need to figure out who it is that actually put Shelley up to it, because they know she didn't do this on her own.
No, and they have no idea about Bobby at all. So it is a well-kept secret in town that they are together, although certainly Norma knows and some other people know, but they are unaware. I love that scene. The same comments I'd have mostly that you had about how good Machen is and, being really portraying a character who is not comfortable lying, trying to stand her ground. And when Cooper delivers the lines like, oh, and with some time and care, you'll get the same Leo that you've always known back. And you can see when she starts to realize too, oh my God, what am I do? Like, I'm bringing this guy back, and will he come back? Will he wake up? So like, I feel like she's now being confronted with the possibility in the way that Cooper said that line. So there's that added panic and paranoia that this terribly abusive force in her life is now really going to become part of her life.
And that scene when he's, starting to transition, I guess, into Mike, is great. It's super effective. And you have the overhead shot looking down into the stall as he starts thrashing back and forth, and the camera comes over it and faces the stall, and then the door opens. You see his hand sticking through, and he pulls out very Jekyll and Hyde sort of moment, and the reveal of now he is actually Mike.
Right, and the voice effect that they put on his voice is awesome.
I'm after you now.
So at the Great Northern, Cooper tells a dismissive Ben his daughter called him, while Josie's mysterious caller watches and pursues.
This conversation between Ben and Cooper, wow, man, Ben just... he seems to feel like he's just untouchable. Like he's just got everything all figured out. Even, Cooper, as being a federal agent, doesn't ruffle his feathers at all. And so he's, even whenever he says, do I detect something outside the scope of professional concern about Cooper and Audrey, he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to dig at this a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and needle Cooper throughout that. It's just great. It feels like these are two kind of opposing forces that could really have a lot of sparks fly between them. I don't really recall any previous scenes with them like this. So it's just an interesting pairing of the two of them. And I'm not sure really how Cooper, I couldn't really read how much Cooper is feeling about Ben or what he's expecting, what he's trying to put together in his head. Because I kind of feel like maybe Ben knocked him off onto his heels a little bit by kind of indicating there's something more going on here with Audrey than there actually is. And putting Cooper on the defensive, maybe I'm reading into it a little bit, but
no, I think Cooper's definitely on the defensive with that, because Cooper is developing feelings for Audrey that he's aware of, that he's talked about. So like if he's getting accused of that, but the thing with Ben, the way I really see Ben is when you have very corrupt people, they are corrupt, and therefore they think everyone sees the world the way they see the world. So when they're sort of seeing liars and cheaters and this person's doing that, the people that yell about people cheating and lying and being awful are usually awful, terrible people. So I think Ben genuinely thinks Cooper is sleeping with her, or he's trying to get something go, because that's how he goes through life. So for Cooper, that's a dangerous situation, because he could get into a ton of trouble if this was erased. So yeah, I think you're right in thinking that he was sort of on his back foot. I mean, but I think he's got Ben's number, like, he knows, and he also has Ben, I'm sure, in his suspects list, because if I had Ben in my suspects list, Cooper's probably writing that guy's down in there.
But then we do have the very conspicuous businessman reading a newspaper in the background the entire time. So we got the man we saw previously making a phone call and follows Cooper at a inconspicuous 5-pace distance as they walk out from. Like he's just like shadowing him right down as they leave.
Not the first time he's been watching Cooper.
Nope.
And we still don't know who shot Cooper. So clearly he's like we know this guy's connected to Josie. I said his name before. I don't think his name officially came up yet, but it doesn't matter. What's his deal, right? So like, who is this guy who's calling Hong Kong? And now he's clearly interested in Cooper and following Cooper. Yeah. All right. So a couple other things, like also Ben mentions this is not the first time Audrey's done this. So Audrey, according to Ben, has disappeared before and has come home. So it's not a concern. Despite Ben just being garbage, as a garbage person, it's not the first time that she's gone missing, as it were. But this is where we see the sort of the marching band cheerleader school convention happening in the Great Northern. So Leslie Linka Glatter started this tradition all the way back with Cooper's dreams when it was the Native American convention. I forget the American Indian something. And now you have you have that great opening shot with the elevator doors open and you're just hit with the guy with the bass drum. So you get all that stuff. It's very cool. All right, so we're going to jump over to One-Eyed Jacks, or jump back to One-Eyed Jacks. And if you thought we were out of Renault brothers, you are wrong, because we have another Renault brother coming here, and Blackie's sister. And they're going to take over the Audrey kidnapping operation. Dan, what do you think of Jean Renault, the great Michael Parks?
Yeah, I think Jean Renault is the scariest of the Renaults that I've seen so far. Definitely the level of menace dropped in each successive Renault brother, I think. Bernard, he wasn't it. But yeah, he's immediately menacing and quite frightening. We got Blackie's sister, whose name was...
Nancy.
That's it. We got the introduction of Nancy.
Who we met in the diary.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. So Nancy, we first met her in the diary. She delivers Laura's stuff after she gets kicked out of One-Eyed Jacks. I think she gets mentioned maybe a little bit in it, but she's also returns her stuff after she was fired.
Okay. That completely passed me by. But okay, great. So we get to see her. Obviously, the two of them are an item, and she seems to, kind of be manipulating him a little bit to make sure that Blackie doesn't get her way. But yeah, just all I had in my notes is poor Audrey. Just all this is just not looking good for her.
Yeah, this is a really good scene. Emery Don Amandelio, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Don. Emery, he does such a good job of a man completely out of his depth, like a complete simp.
Yes.
He is so far in over his head, and you see him stumble, and they're just playing with him. They're I think Nancy hits him on the head, right? Or slaps him. He is screwed. He's screwed because now Ben's daughter's seen him. He's done. We know Audrey is going to get killed. This scene ends and he's we can't let the girl live now.
Absolutely.
He'll never be the same. And even when Blackie is maybe it happened in the previous scene. I don't remember if it was this scene or the previous scene where he's she's seen me and I'm going to get in trouble. He's if this doesn't work, you're going to get a lot more than fired. This is it. You're in over your head. And the fact that we've established two Renault brothers are dead, and now it's a blood vendetta with Jean. As you said, he's super scary. Candy is dandy. That whole scene, where he's giving her the English toffees or caramels, and he's putting it in and out of her mouth. It's this is the most obscene, I think, that Twin Peaks has gotten.
Yeah.
With just a piece of candy. He is so well played by Michael Parks. He's a great character. I love it. Back at the station, Harry learns Josie is back and asks for a favor. Hawk finds the White House, and Cooper finds the one-armed man's medication.
Harry is completely smitten. So he asks Cooper to let him talk to Josie really alone before Cooper gets to. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Cooper was going to let him do that, because that really doesn't seem like a safe thing to do with someone who Cooper suspects of something going on, not necessarily involvement with Laura's murder, but he knows that she is not what she seems, and he's protective of Harry as a friend. So I was just a little surprised that he was yeah, you have my blessing. And Harry was no, let me. He's no, it's okay. You go ahead. So it was just a little surprising to me, but I also think it's very much just Cooper's character and affection for Harry, maybe even edging out a little bit what he thinks should be done from an investigative point of view. But that was a nice thing to be able to do for Harry. But then we go over to find out that Hawk comes in. He is a tracker. He's tracked things down. So he's finding out that he found the house. It's been boarded up. There's no name on the mailbox. So he's already got an inquiry in to get the title records and to get the power bills to figure out whose house that was, get any more information about it. I'm trying to recall now that I watched the episode twice and I can't quite put it together. Oh, this is it. Cooper didn't actually even know that the one-armed man was at the police station the whole time, and Harry didn't think to tell him, which I guess they had kind of dismissed him as being like a suspect of all this, but I would still have thought Harry would have mentioned, that guy that you dreamed about?
He was there to sell shoes too. He wasn't there for any other reason. Like, if we're trying to remember the last episode, he came in and tried to do the appointment. So I can understand why Harry didn't mention it. They've already gone to him. They've already interviewed him. And now he's just there to sell shoes. Like, I can see why Harry wouldn't think like, oh, by the way, this guy that we saw is also here selling. You know what I mean?
It's not just some guy. It is the guy that he dreamt about that is a major key that features in all these other logical leaps that Cooper's putting together from his, the giant was telling him these. It was just Harry. That's a pretty big oversight. But then, Cooper realizes he's here. Where's he gone? He went to the bathroom and never came back. And then finally we get Cooper slipping on a glove, picking up the syringe, and realizes this is the answer to the third piece, the third clue. With alchemicals, he points.
Yeah, it's definitely on our way to solving that third clue. So we get a couple, just Cooper being Cooper. Like, he's like, hey, time for a break. And how great would it be in your life if you had someone that just like, time for a break, and they come in, they got coffee and donuts. I like that Cooper, he cautions him about, this is, she's a suspect and maybe something and you should, but then he lets him do it. And it just shows the bond that they're both willing to go in places beyond what's right because they are now Bookhouse Boys. They are best friends. They are BFF forever. So I got your back, you got my back kind of thing. And I like that about them. And I love that part.
It really is showing the trust that they built between them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he, he tells him this isn't right, but of course, like you don't even need to ask kind of thing. So Hawk comes back about this. This is so stupid. About the White House. So it's like the White House boarded up. There's a mailbox. For me, immediately, I'm like, it's Zork. It's Zork 1, the text-based Infocom adventure Zork 1 from the 80s. Are you familiar with Zork 1?
Oh my gosh.
The opening of Zork 1 is... you are standing in an open field west of a White House with a boarded front door. There is a small mailbox here. So I'm like, come on, is somebody playing Zork out there? Like, probably. I know it's ridiculous. I almost posted this on Reddit, and I was like, why am I gonna? Everybody's just gonna dunk on me if I post this on Reddit.
No, but there are people who have upvoted the heck out of that. That's great. No, I do remember Zork,
but yes, that was immediately what I thought about was when they bring, especially they bring out the mailbox, and it's like, okay, you got to open the mailbox and look in there as a leaflet, and you just purchase Zork 1. All right, at Calhoun Memorial, Ed visits Nadine, and she finds her strength has returned.
Oh boy, has she. Yeah, we get Doc Hayward. First we see Nadine getting new fuzzy restraints being put on her because she broke through the previous ones.
She's pumping out more adrenaline than a wildcat well.
Which apparently is a lot. I think that's a lot. So a continuation of Nadine, with last time we saw her for the super strength when she was exercising and bent the machine's bars backwards, and now she's got these new fuzzy restraints. Doc Hayward suggests, he should sit with her, talk to her, maybe sing to her, to which Ed says he'd rather do that alone. Ed's got a lovely singing voice.
Busting out on top of Old Smokey with them making the girls cry.
Everyone was crying, not a dry in the house. But he's got like nice little turns in the music. It was a beautiful voice. And then Nadine popping up there, and just the clapping and bouncing is just pure insanity. And when it finally lands and she has she's doing a cheer, and then she's just this 18-year-old girl. And it reads so perfectly. She looks like an 18-year-old girl. She is fantastic in this, and it's so unsettling and so freaking weird. It's just an unexpected left turn out of nowhere, but it's performed so well.
If it was anyone else other than Wendy Roby, like some of this stuff and where it goes, and I know where it goes, I'm not a huge fan of. Like we're getting into like this episode is sort of you're starting to see a little bit of like the very heavy comedy stuff that's going to come. This still works for me for all the reasons you brought up, and especially because Wendy Roby is such a fantastic actress and she can sell it. And, the super strength and the adrenaline that's pumping. And we saw a little bit of that when she was on the rowing machine and she bent those bars. So it's that part isn't as it is a surprise because it's insane, but you can sort of see it. But like now I'm in high school again is a whole other level of crazy. I didn't know what a wildcat well was. I had to look it up. It's an oil
well, right?
Oil well.
Yeah.
Because I was like, or more adrenaline than a wildcat will. And then I was like, okay, was that what he's saying? No. Or is he just saying will and he's using his own name in the third person? I don't have much to say about this. I love Ed's expression as he's holding her hand and the pain, and when she's rising up and just shaking, and so the look on horror on his face as he's trying to process what's happening is fantastic.
While still finishing the last verse of the song. He doesn't let it go. He's still going. And his hand's getting crushed as he goes. It's great.
Yeah, it's fine. Everett McGill is great. And Everett McGill and Wendy Roby, if you ever seen People Under the Stairs, you want to see those two together again, I recommend that movie. All right, so we're going to jump over to, we're staying in the hospital. Where Cooper and Harry are going to pay a visit to Jacoby, meet his wife, ? And enter a state of hypnosis.
Yeah, so we found out that Jacoby's married. His wife, Iolani, lives separately in Hawaii, but she's there to help him out in his time of need. Of course, the whole room in the Hawaiian theme. We got the slide guitar in the background, everything. It's just the whole thing. Man, when he commits to a thing, he commits 1,000%. But we got Iolani there. She doesn't say a word, but she's there to help out. I like that when he starts doing, they're going to put him under a hypnosis. The fact that, of course, Jacoby, this is the auto-suggestion program that I use. Like, he does this to himself all the time. Like, he's just ready to go into it.
He is like Cooper. He is a sort of Cooper. He is just Cooper. Whereas Cooper is having a bucket with people holding gloves and throwing rocks at things, Jacoby's doing this thing because Harry's holding the stone where he starts to doze off. So there's a parallel, which is funny when you look at how dismissive Cooper almost is when he's like, oh, whatever. And even Harry in the beginning until it starts to work on Harry.
Yeah. No, that moment when he has the auto-suggestion program. He tells Harry to hold this geode with a hole in it at the foot of the bed. No, a little lower till it's right in his eye line. Iolani is standing over on the side holding 2 crystals in her palms as she's like meditating with him. It's just a great scene. And then as Cooper starts reading through this suggestion, you're golfing and the ball's going towards, and it just turns it Harry and brings it back because Harry's going to her. It's so small, but it's so great. It's very cool. But yeah, Jacoby starts to remember Jacques' killer. So we get the, flashbacks to the pillow going over Jacques' face, the sound of Jacques being murdered. It sounds like a dog barking, and Jacoby just reveals, I see his, he can't see his face and he knows the person. It's terrific. And it just cuts right there.
Yeah. The only other, the important bit I think is the burn engine oil smell. He mentions smelling it also at the park.
Oh, that's right. Yes. That. Right.
All right. So, we're going to switch over to Laura's grave where Donna is going to deliver the orchid from Harold Smith and have a few words with her old friend.
As much as I love you, Laura, most of the time we were trying to solve your problems. And you know what? We still are. Not mine or James or Maddie's, yours. You're dead, Laura, but your problems keep hanging around. It's almost like they didn't bury you deep enough.
Laura, we need to talk. It's about time Donna got this off her chest. Maybe now she can stop acting like a femme fatale, though I don't think it's going to stop her. But this moment that she says, Donna says, as much as I love you, Laura, most of the time we're trying to solve your problems. Even though you're dead, we're still trying to solve your problems. The line that says, it's like they didn't bury you deep enough is really great. And she just realizes, like, I love you, but I just can't do this anymore. Like I said, I can't remember anything that happened, so I don't know how far this goes. But in this moment, at least, she's realizing how much of a profound effect Laura's still having on her. Even in her death, everything is still all about solving Laura's problems. It's, I think, a really compelling scene and delivered beautifully, I think.
Cutting to the woods, the trees, the owl, and then we go to the scene, and it's just so well done. I mean, she's just so mad at her, and it feels so real the way that it's shot and delivered, and I just love it. And she talks about, I want it to be so much like you.
Exactly. I mean, it could be a really hokey scene if it wasn't handled as well as it was. We need to talk. It's like heart to heart with the grave. Like, it could feel really hacky, but you're right. She sells it beautifully. She's an incredible actress. It's shot beautifully. So it's a really effective scene.
All right, so we're going to cut over to the Palmer house where James is seeking comfort and finds Maddie. Donna finds her worst fear, and Leland finds the law. God, you're on fire.
Wow. So finally, Maddie and James kiss. I love the way that this is shot. The two of them it is magnetic or gravitational. They just kind of pull at each other. Finally, they have the kiss as the camera comes around to the side of them, framing the two of them, and then as they part. Of course, in the background, there's Donna. You knew it was going to happen, but the way that it was executed was flawless. It was just absolutely a perfect moment, framed beautifully between them. And then, Maddie has this moment of just like, the line that she says, all I did was I came to a funeral. It's like I fell into a dream. Beautiful line. It's like people think I'm Laura. I'm nothing like her. She really has this dazed look. Like, what the heck did I get myself into? How long has she been there now? It's only been...
The funeral was Monday, right? So Friday is Giant Be With You. So Saturday would have been Coma. This is probably Sunday. So if she got there for the funeral, she's been there for like a week.
Well, that was a long way to get to it, but okay.
God, James sucks so bad. First off, James comes in fine. His mom's back in town. He's going to make it all about James. He's going to unload. Yeah. Believe me, this is me also. I'm hating myself. I hate myself more than anybody. So if I see things in James that I see in myself, that's why a lot of it's coming out. But what I won't do is I won't show up at the Palmer house and smash their freaking, just wreck their house because Donna saw me with Maddie. He just walks up and he just slams like the vase and the flowers, whatever they had on that little end table. Leland's coming down like, what is going on? What a jerk.
That little guy has so many emotions. They're too big for him.
What? He destroys a lamp. James hates lamps. And then he just yells out in the street and he's like, why? It's like, oh, God, James, just go for a ride. James, go for a ride.
Poor James.
Ride it off, James. I don't want anything to do with James. Poor Maddie. I feel so bad for Maddie. She could do so much better than James. Let me tell you, Maddie.
I mean, I understand James' attraction to Maddie, being a dead ringer for Laura and the, what he's just been through. I don't really see the other direction. I don't see it. I don't know why it is.
Well, that's why it's like you can look at Maddie as arriving in this town as Maddie.
Yeah.
And then slowly falling into this dream and becoming Laura. She doesn't even have like control of. She talks about it in that way. Like, people think I'm Laura, and she's sort of acting like Laura, and maybe that's out of her control. And she's sort of, again, falling into this dream, doing things that maybe she wouldn't do. Like, she does kiss him when he's like, because he's just talking about his mom and she's bringing him in, and she's actually the one that makes the move, and he certainly doesn't push her away.
Do you think there's any influence? She's had that dream with the bloodstains on the carpet. She's seen Bob in a vision. Do you think there's that's playing into this? Like, that's causing her to kind of become...
Ask me later.
Okay, great. I will ask you later. I'm putting it down in my notebook.
So I love Leland in this scene. Like, Leland is there for Maddie in a way that she really needs. Like, he has a very fatherly demeanor, the way he takes her sadness and then makes that joke. And it makes her laugh. And when you laugh, you feel better. And you get this really nice moment. And you almost forget, like, oh, this guy snuffed a dude out with a pillow like 2 days ago. And then that whole line about Pearl Lakes, we know all about Pearl Lakes, and bam, you're under the rest. So it's fantastic. All right, so at Harold's, we're back at Harold's. Donna needs someone to talk to and discovers Laura's secret diary, which we knew about already, Dan.
Now we get to finally see it. We get to see Laura's beautiful cursive. I mean, if you said before when we met Harold that he could be a total creep. But he's not at all. He's, super polite. He's there to lend an ear to Donna. She's doing the same thing, like dumping her stuff onto Harold as James was doing to Maddie and had done to Donna previously about his mom. But Harold's there to listen. He's very polite. A girl he's just met has come to his door again to because she didn't know where else to go. And of course, he invites her in. But we also learn again more of like Laura's been saying so much about Donna. She even says, was it Donna Madonna? There's always mañana. How did you know that she says that? And he just kind of gives the little shrug, and we find out just a couple of beats later, oh, now we know how she knows about that from the diary. But no, it's a pretty good cliffhanger just to see, this guy that seemed like so warm and friendly and charming. What's going on here? How does he have the diary? Because I think we only know that from the Secret Diary book. What do we know from the show about the diary being there? Nothing, right?
We didn't even know there was a secret diary. This is the reveal that there's a different diary. Like if you're just watching the show, that's a big reveal. Like, oh my God, there's another diary. Like, what is this diary? How does this guy have the diary? And you wonder, were those diary pages that Donna was looking at before that were sticking out from under the shelf? Like, what was that? And all of that stuff. Harold gives her something to drink, and I guess he could, maybe it was a shot of apple butter. I don't know what he's doing. He also has a knife. Like, so there, you could read some sinister business with Harold.
Yeah.
Because, you don't know who this guy is. And if you didn't read the diary, you don't know how he got the diary. Like, so the fact that you see that knife with the diary, it's just a really good ending and as you said, a great cliffhanger. So that's it. That does it for us. So this was The Man Behind the Glass. The next one we have is Laura's Secret Diary. So interesting. Like this one we talked about, these are the German titles, the titles that were given to these episodes when it played on German television. So I don't know what the meat, like where these came from, like what their thought process was. But I wonder, like, all of them sort of make sense in a way. The Man Behind the Glass, just thinking it's got to be Harold Smith looking out the window, right? He's the man behind the glass. All right. I didn't know if you had a different thought than.
No, I was thinking about that as I was watching it. I don't know what else it could be. Okay,
that's fine. Yeah. All right.
Until literal. I think this one's pretty literal.
Yeah. So. Until next time, folks. Be good with each other. Be good, America.
Be good with each other. Be good at each other.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again. And in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.
Where's my robot? You know?